I'm Pat Courtney with JTEKT, and we're going to talk about JTEKT precision pins and shafts. Pins and shafts are not bearings, but they are similar to bearings. And so these pins and shafts are going to be made in a bearing plant. So what is similar about these pins and shafts? As you can see, these are these different assorted type of precision components, we'll call them, but these are different shafts with different features and pins. So how are they similar to bearings? Well, these pins and shafts are all going to be made out of steel, typically a bearing type steel, whether it be 52-100, could be made out of 440C, but they're going to have a lot of similar qualities to bearings in regards to the hardness, that they're machined and ground. So they're going to be heat treated, machined and ground. They're going to be precision. And they're possibly going to be used for reducing friction. So when we look at bearings and we compare it to these pins and shafts, they're made in the same factory as bearings, which are automotive factories, which means that they're going to have extremely high quality. They're going to have heat treat furnaces. They're going to have grinding equipment. So all of those same processes that we use to make bearings are going to be incorporated into making some of these pins and shafts. So how are they different from bearings? Well, in some cases, they're used as a shaft that goes into a bearing, so or a gear or some other device. They could be used as a locating device, like a dowel pin or an actuator pin or a steering component. So they're actually not even moving. They're pressed into a hole, and another assembly comes, and it's actually to lock into another piece of equipment onto another piece of equipment as a dowel pin. So they're actually not even rotating. They're just used as a locating device. These can also be used as a fuel injection pin. So in there, the precision isn't necessarily on the actual shaft itself, but the hole that we drill and where that hole is located on that pin. So and that could be used for fuel or it could be used for air. Pins and shafts are going to have multiple machined features. So as you can see on this mat that I have here, all these different types of shapes where we round this shape. We have what's called a knurl. This knurl are these little slots that we grind into the OD of this pin. We can obviously put holes through it. We can put grooves into it. We can make these parts extremely small, and we can go up to even larger sizes. So grooves, knurls, end holes, cross holes, threads, flat and spherical ends. These are a bunch of the different types of features that we can put on these pins and shafts. There's additional heat treat options. So we can vacuum or induction process, heat treat processes. We can use cryogenic treatment, which is also, it's like a deep freeze. So we actually freeze the parts. So why would you want to freeze steel? Well, it changes the microstructure. It keeps it very stable when it's being used in very cold or very hot environmental conditions, especially very cold conditions. So some of these fuel injector pins might be up in the Arctic or in very cold conditions. We don't want the hole to change diameter, otherwise it changes the fuel. So those have to be very stable. We can control the stability of that steel by using this cryogenic heat treat. With pins and shafts, we have a lot of additional material options. We can use 440 stainless steel. We can use 300 stainless steels. We can use tool steel. So there's a lot of different steel options that we can use that we can't use with bearings. Now the size range on these different pins and shafts within the factory, we can go from 0.75 millimeters all the way up to 32 millimeters, or roughly 0.03 inches all the way up to about 1.5 inches or 1.25 inches diameter. Now the length of the shaft, we can only go to about 6 inches long, but we can make it as small as 2 millimeters small. So 2 millimeters in length all the way up to 150 millimeter in length, 0.06 inches to about 6 inches in length. So we're not talking about this type of shaft. We typically aren't going to make something like this. We're going to make a shaft that's going to have some of these different types of features on it. Now, how thin can we make that shaft? We can make it as square as a 1-to-1 ratio, meaning that the length of the part is the same as the diameter, or we can make that shaft or pin 30 times longer relative to its diameter. So how are these parts made? They're made on CNC machine centers that we have within the facility. We have our own heat treat in-house. And of course, all of the quality control standards that we use for our bearings, we use for our pins and shafts as well. So we have very strict quality control standards for all of our automotive product, which carries over into all of our pins and shafts product as well. So where are these pins and shafts used? Well, fuel systems, of course, for diesel and gasoline engines, mostly construction or agricultural type equipment. Planet pins. So remember we talked about planetary systems? So we have gears with those cage and roller bearings inside. Well, those cage and roller bearings are going to ride on what's called a planet pin. And a planet pin is just basically a shaft that's inside of that planet gear, which is inside of a planetary system. And so we make those planet pins as part of the pins and shafts group, and those are also made in the factory where we make the bearings. Racing applications, aerospace and precision rollers, steering column pins, gear shafts, custom assemblies. So overall, when we look at this pins and shafts product, there is no catalog for it. These are all really special, made-to-order type components. But what they all have in common is they all have very tight quality control. They're very high precision, they're heat treated, and they have some sort of special features. So they have knurls or holes drilled or special surfaces. Now, the other important thing is these all fit into my hand. So all of this product can fit into my hand. So if you can't hold it in your hand, it's not going to be a precision pin or shaft. It's too big, because the machining centers and the heat treat that we use to make this product can only take product that's under that 6-inch size. We hope you found this brief course on precision pins and shafts informative. Stay tuned for more bearing training from JTEKT, formerly known as KOYO.